And now, this week's edition of Big Face with your host, Samantha Jane Tilton.
All right, here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Face. I'm your host, Samantha Jane Tilton, and my guest today, Ramona Pitera, co-founder, owner of Ramona's Modelandtalent, Talent, representing actors in commercials, print, voiceover, everything. Hi.
How you doing? Thank you.
I didn't even want to say hi to you before this because I'm really so happy to see your face.
Oh, same here. You bring me great joy to see you.
Ditto.
Yeah. You have such a great energy about you. Thank you.
I felt that from the second that we met. When I came out, that you're at the office, right? Where
Yes.
I came out?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Are you by yourself there?
I am. My business partner lives in the city, and so she lives with someone that's compromised, immune compromised, so she's not able to come out here. But what she does is online anyway. So, yeah.
Okay. We were talking about this. For you, there's a lot that you don't have to be with other people with a lot of what you do.
Right.
It's over the phone and everything like that. So,
right.
And you're walking distance from your office, right?
I am. So as I was saying, I'm pretty much living a socially distant life. This made me realize, I'm like, oh, I adhere to all of this. Yeah. So, cause I walk to work, rain, shine, snow, sleet, whatever. I'm always, but I actually enjoy that aspect. Makes me feel like I'm a part of the day before I go into the computer, so to speak. Really nice. And I do like to have it separated. I mean, I can also work from my home, but I do enjoy the energy of being in my office. I got great lighting, and I just feel like
it's a great office.
Thank you.
It's a really nice office. Even the brick wall behind you, like it has such a nice feeling.
Yeah, it's an old building, but it's got charm, and I feel I'm connected to what's going on in life, as opposed to working in your home, and you're like,
It's really hard for me. It's hard to work from home, to get everything. And that's usually what I'm doing. So it's but it's hard because it's easy for me. It's easy to fall into just doing what I do.
Definitely. Well, the first 5 years of starting my company, I worked from home until I was like, I need to get out. I need to go into a space. I need a separation of what I do, and then being able to not have it in my house as well. And we had grown quite a bit. And when you have family, my daughter was a teenager at the time, and, they don't think like, oh, that's mom's office. It was just like
I'm going in.
You're like, oh no.
No. This is actually an office.
Yeah. You could be in the middle of a conversation with a client, so, and it's funny because that's what people are saying that are, working now is like, they hear their other family members busting in, and that's just what happens.
It is what happens. I think I said this one other time, but I was watching Jimmy Fallon one night, and this kid was just in the, doing whatever in the background. It is what it is,
It is what it is. Yeah. And we're lucky. So at the same time of it, we're fortunate that this is what it's become, using this platform to be able to still continue to try to have work, and do what we do.
So I said this before, but I didn't want to get into it. Your hair looks so awesome. And you said it, just sidestep for a second.
You're so sweet.
But it's this is very long for you, or you feel like you need a haircut?
Yeah. I mean, I've actually had my hair many different lengths throughout my life.
Yeah.
So I'm okay to just chop it all off and shave it. Don't you think I haven't thought about it? I've thought about it.
I'm like, this would be the best time. I know. Cause I'm like, I'm not seeing anybody for a while anyway. He'll go back.
Right. But no, it's definitely on the long side. It's that'll be one of the first things that, I can't wait to do is get to a hairstylist.
Yesterday, I gave myself the second haircut in quarantine.
Oh, you're brave.
I've never cut my own hair. I have long, thick hair.
Yeah.
You have,
yeah.
And I was like, I did it. I'm kind of proud of myself.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. Your hair is bouncing and behaving.
Thanks. I'm like, you're healthier. You're going to grow back. It's okay. I don't have to cry. It's really nice to see you. You were is the first time that we met at Pace for David's class?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So it's funny because I was going to reach out to you anyway, because I wanted to have you on here because, you know, like you said, you have great energy. We felt that since we met, and we got to meet at David Bellantoni's, for you guys listening, at David Bellantoni's class that he teaches at Pace University. And we were both on the panel, and it was so much fun.
Yeah. We
together
had a good
giving
time.
actors.
Yeah. It's very rewarding too. It's such a, it was fun to, you know, impart our wisdom into them, as well as seeing that how talented they all were, and being able to direct them. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And them taking
it was nice to have you. Right.
It was nice to have you as well. It's like, it's that energy that makes it that great. And we were both just like, you talk. I don't know, you talk. It's so awesome. Yeah, I actually, one of those kids came in and auditioned for me, like, you know, months later. And I was like, I know you. And he came in through you. And I was like, I know.
Very talented group. I'm very impressed with what they do over at the Pace University. I mean, I'm giving them a plug, but their work stands for them and for what the kids are doing. They're definitely get a great education. Those kids come out ready to work. They're not blinded. They're ready to have adult conversations about representation. And it's not in this facade of like, well, this is where I'm going to take my career. And you're just like, okay, you have.
Yes. There's a lot that goes into that.
And there's nothing wrong with having direction, and that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to realize that there are stages of your career development.
Yeah.
And you need to know what a team is, you know, and you need to understand who you're talking to and what that opportunity could look like. Because I have a lot of people, you're just like, and you're just like, hello, talk to me. You need to feel the pain. Talk to me in a year. Normally I don't like to work with a lot of college grads the first year, because they're just trying to, they don't necessarily all have a sense of reality that it's a hustle. Yeah. You know?
I mean, before you know, you don't know. Like it's getting out there and starting to do it, that it's like, you are constantly learning. There's so much to understand about this business.
Yeah. And there's more than one way to become successful, and being open to that. Again, knowing sometimes what opportunities lie in front of you, and being able to kind of understand that, you know, whether it be, oh, I've got a job that's going to be flexible, that's going to allow me to go out on auditions, or, oh my gosh, I'm talking to this artistic director and there might be an opportunity for me to work with them, or, you know, audition for them, you know, as opposed to being someone like, this is where I'm going. And you're just like, oh my gosh.
I want you this, only this, in the way that I want to do it.
Right.
Which I understand. I do understand. Like, I always wanted to be an actor. And so that was like what drove me. But then I think comes with age and experience, like my mind started opening up more and more to that, you know, that there's one of those sounds. Awesome. No, I love it. That there's like, it's so great. It's life. I was like wondering, I had to shut the air conditioner off. We may hear thunderstorms. I'm not sure. So if you guys hear them, that's that. But yeah, I think with experience and being out there, you meet all different kinds of people. And if you are, for me, when I stayed open, I learned different skills. That's how I started casting. That's how I started doing anything. And it all serves towards whatever you want to do anyway.
Yes.
You're covering all bases.
And you just, you know, as time goes on, it's interesting the things that we involve ourselves with and that we may move away from, but then sometimes how that comes back into play in our lives, maybe at a different angle. Maybe you're guiding somebody through that or whatever. It's just, it's a funny experience when you go through that, and time does tell that. But I think it is important for young people, yes, there's to have a sense of direction, but a lot of times people come out and they've been engrossed in a theater program, and they don't know anything about commercials or television and the whole auditioning process. And meeting people, right, as you're building, and you're meeting people to network, to build yourself. And your name. It's
funny because that's a lot. I think we talk a lot about that. There's a lot of schools that people go to and it's theater oriented. They don't learn any part of this aspect
industry.
Yeah. And so like David's class, when they're meeting David and he's teaching them and us and whoever he has on the panel, it's like, that's really helpful.
Yeah, it's like the eyeballs,
no
they light up and they're like, oh, wow, you know.
Right.
Because David also teaches class outside of PACE, you know,
yeah.
at some other places. And I've had a couple other casting directors that I like to recommend their classes as well,
yeah.
too, because they really help open the actor's eyes. And, you know, my goal when I tell my talent, you know, take a class, take a commercial class with somebody is because I want them to be poured into by the knowledge of what that casting director can give them. That's what you do all day long. You're sitting there casting people.
Yeah.
Your ability to connect with an actor and help them to get what the audition is requiring is so, that is a, you know, I don't want technique, it's a gifting, but that's precious. Yeah. That's like gold. And to be able to have, you know, certain casting directors that can do that. And that's what it is. It's not only to meet them, but to also learn from them and their tricks and what are they saying to you that you could be doing wrong or that you're doing great, right?
Right. It's those little kernels of knowledge that, like, if you listen, if you're open, will really help you propel in certain ways, right. You know?
Yeah.
And it's funny because you said that about us as casting directors, but you started out, if this is okay, you started out acting, right? Isn't that what you went to school for?
Yes, I did at Marymount.
That's what I thought.
And then this was back in the 90s, and that's not when internet was really happening there.
It was not happening.
No. So I knew all my friends were like getting agents, and I was like, oh, I got to find out what an agent is and all that type of stuff. And I interned at a former agency, Gillaroos, and
I remember
it worked. Yeah, it just I liked it. It was fun. I was like, I called it organizing chaos.
That's very good. That's really true.
Yeah. Because you got a lot of things coming at you every day. And you have to be empathetic to people because it's a people business, you know?
I know. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, that's pretty much it.
Because you said that about casting directors, and I think that is true. I think when a casting director is good, they have an instinct, they have empathy, they can relate and connect to an actor to as best they can to help guide them. You're very good, like your energy, and you're so real and down to earth. Like even when you speak to the kids at PACE, you don't sugarcoat things, but you're lovely when you say it, but you're like, yeah, you're going to get a lot of shit. You know, you tell them, which is the best thing you can do.
Well, I'm there to help guide them, right? I look at it as an opportunity. When I go to the different classes, I think back when I was, you know, going to college and finishing and what I really didn't have is that, you know, we had like one little class that just started beginning where we did we invited agents and casting directors. It was very new in Marymount at the time, and really not being prepared for that and what that all meant really stuck in so the things I talk about are the things that I was at. I was so stuck in my head.
Oh my God.
You know, and not open my ears. And we weren't really being taught to, you know, I was ecstatic that a lot of my teachers at Marymount were actually professionals in the field. And that was fantastic. But I really, and, you know, I had some friends that that became successful pretty quickly. And that was great to see them, but there still wasn't that whole, you know, what about those that weren't going to fit into that, you know what I mean? And understanding that there's many different aspects to the industry. And it's not just one, not every musical theater person is going to do musical theater. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and it's trying to teach them and get to them. You're like, listen to me. I'm trying to tell you something.
You'll thank me one day. It's true though, because it's not everybody is going to do every single thing. And there is, or even many of the things, and they have maybe yet to find what they're going to do. There's always that, like, you know, a lot of times people will ask in the industry, what do you think your type is? And I think that that's like, you know, I hate that question. And yet at the same time, it's like, I think it's exploring your talents and seeing where your strengths are and not limiting yourself, but also hearing from people how you're seen, what they can see you doing, that, from people
Right.
that are out there.
Right. I think that for that question, the different mediums in the industry, that answers differently for each person.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I was to say to a theater person, what is your type? Their list is going to be a lot, depending upon their talents and but I've known some people go on stage and play like, a grandmother or, and they're,
right.
In their 20s, but makeup helps that.
Right. That's
where in commercials, that's not happening.
It's
so
not
stop
gonna happen.
it. Pull it together. But it's true. You know what I mean? They're not gonna, so it's more of a, I hate to say it because, I always was, taught, do not look in the mirror and don't look at your reactions, but that's kind of what commercials does a lot of times. It's being able to look in the mirror and see who you are as your type of person, your demographics, right? Because you're going to it's going to get broken down to your gender, to your ethnicity, to your height. It can be your height, your age group. Those are the beginning parts of it.
Yeah.
And some people have a much more flexible age range than others. So it's not just like one age range covered,
Yeah.
That's important to know.
It's all really good info. It's very, very true.
Yeah.
There was just something I was going to ask you, and I lost my train of thought, but, when I totally lost my train of thought, but so speaking of, this is what I do. Speaking of, commercials and everything right now, because we haven't connected. So for those of you, I work with Ramona as well because she's the best. And how have things been right now?
They have been extremely slow. But
get out.
Yeah,
it's bizarre.
I would. The industry never really shut down, so to speak, but it did. It seriously quieted down to a squeak. But thank God, we had a couple of bookings during that time, which I'm very thankful. Yeah, a lot of them were self-submissions. Through selfies. And that's what's going on right now until casting places are able to reopen. That's right now, a lot of voiceovers are happening, obviously. And then, like I said, self-submission. So you have to be prepared as an actor, have your media set up. If you're doing voiceovers, you should be connected. I know the big one is Source Connect. There's other ones, but that's being able to, most of the clients are saying, are they connected to that? And then also being able to self-record yourself. That's important as well.
I've been talking, when I teach over Zoom right now, that's one of the things I say, like, people don't expect it to be perfect right now. They're not expecting a studio background but they are expecting, you still have to do what you can do. Keep your background simple. If there's a bunch of tchotchkes, take them off, make sure you got lighting set up, and you can get cheap lighting, but just make sure, and with audio, there's a lot of things. It doesn't have to be expensive, but you can be on top of it.
Now more than ever.
Yep. Exactly.
This is such a time. And it's interesting because this is the advantage of the younger kids, teens, 20s, early 30s have, is that they are so far advanced in knowledge of technology.
Yep.
Where I know that my generation and beyond me is definitely more challenged. I will always have a 20-something-year-old around so that they can tell me what the heck my phone can do and help me get it to do it. It's very important.
You're not
alone.
I'm
not saying that people, that are older don't know how, but I don't know how. I feel like they come out of the womb being able to text and, and do everything. Yeah. So.
And they don't make it easy. I'll just say, like, even in just doing the show and like figuring out audio and video and all these programs to edit my stuff and like piece it to, it is not easy. Like they make it's so not user friendly. It's really hard. I've watched so many YouTube videos to teach myself like what the heck to do.
Right. Well, you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
But you come across as knowing very much what you're doing. You might have a whole new career. I got the audio. I got it.
I got this. I have learned a lot. This is a great time to like while it's been hard to learn certain things, it's like, I'll be better off for it, for doing it all myself, learning how to use editing programs, you know? And so there's a lot of opportunity during this time to learn.
Definitely. Learn and listen. Absolutely. Learn and listen.
But I will say, I don't always want to learn and listen right now. So like, you know, I think you know this, one of the reasons that I started doing this was because I was seeing everybody else on social media doing stuff, posting lots of stuff. And the funny thing is now I'm realizing it wasn't even now stuff. It's stuff from the past, but I was feeling like I'm not being responsible during this time. Everyone works harder than I do. And just feeling all the old crap about, you know, that I can feel bad about. And then talking to other people, and they're having a hard time feeling motivated too.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's highs and lows to the day. The weather, number one, I never knew the weather affected me so much.
I know.
You know, I'm like, oh no, it's a great day. This is not good. You know, it's serious. And that's also because we are dealing with, we live in the place where there has been a tremendous amount of death and sickness. Yep. And that does affect us all. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We've all been affected by this. Yeah. And that's just hard. You just have really overwhelming days. And yes, we want to stay hopeful. You know, right. I mean, I'm a hopeful person. And then there's some days where I'm just like, oh, and I am lucky that I was able to retreat to my family. They live in upstate New York, where it's not as intense. Nice. It's not as intense. Yeah. It hasn't been. And I was able to, and again, I was in the country, really wasn't, other than saying hello to my mother and my brothers and my sister. That was it, you know, still socially somewhat isolated, but just being able to not feel that. There's a lot of tensity around here because there's so much information that we didn't know. We're not supposed to wear masks. We are supposed to wear masks. There's just, and I don't, right.
I don't think they know. I still don't think anybody knows.
Yeah, we all feel that. You know, obviously we need to be clean, wash our hands, you know, and I think for me personally, what I take away from this is when you're sick, stay home. And that's the problem with this, is that in our culture, and it's not just America, because it's happening in China as well, and all around the world, we force ourselves to go work even when we're sick. And this, you know, and this is a problem, you know? Yeah. So it's important to realize that. I mean, I'm always crazy with my people in my office. I'm like, you take me out, that's it. You're all going to have to do it without me. Don't do it. Stay home.
I know. I'm thinking of the episode of The Office. Did you watch The Office? Where Kathy Bates, when she's the boss and like Erin's sick and she's like, oh honey, you go home. And then she sends Andy home. She's like, no. Like, I don't. And the worst is like when I'll be casting and then somebody gives me a hug.
Right. And they're sick.
And then they go, yeah, I've had a stomach thing for like,
and you're like,
and I'll out loud be like, why would you hug me? Like, right. I'm so careful. If I'm working when I'm sick, I'm like, somebody will go shake my hand and I'll be like, I haven't been feeling well. Don't want to.
Right.
You got to do that. But you're right.
Well, but there's a mixed message, because at the same time, people don't want to miss that opportunity. To, you know, I've had people come in here sick and I'm just like, oh my gosh, why'd you come? Well, I've been waiting to meet you. And I'm like, but I never want you to come when you're sick.
It's like that little, listen up people, don't ever go to her. If you're sick, you can wait. It can always wait.
Be my new thing.
But that's the thing, is that I feel, especially as New Yorkers, but Americans, I think there's always that mentality, or I relate it to that. Like when I was a kid, I never wanted to, I never wanted to pee. I would do the pee-pee dance for like a million hours. My mom would yell at me because I didn't want to miss anything. I didn't want to miss anything. I didn't want to go to bed at night because I didn't want to miss anything. And I feel like there's this mentality that everybody is hustling. And so if I pause, if I stay still for a minute, if I let myself be sick and not show up, they're going to use somebody else. I'm going to miss out.
Right. But here's in the pause is when we restore ourselves. Look at, in your pause, you were able to take this baby and make it happen.
in the
it's in the pause. And
It's
we have to realize that it doesn't all have to be poof, poof, poof. Yes, you have to be willing to do that. But if your body or system, and that's the whole thing that like I've just been thinking about and going through is slow it down, enjoy your life. Life is, slow it down and not, I mean, I have the same rush. My office sits in Rutherford, New Jersey. I want to make sure that I'm first on my submissions, that I'm right. That people aren't going to say, oh, she's out in Jersey, which, it's funny because when I first started the business, you could not have a 201. You could not have a different area code. You had to have either a 212, then eventually 917. People didn't want to make the long distance phone call because it was a big deal. And there was a whole system called like bells are ringing, different answering services. And then there was the beepers. I mean,
I had a beeper.
Did you have a beeper?
Shit, yeah.
I had one. Yeah, it was a very, real thing.
Yes, it was.
I remember my bells are ringing. June here. Can I help you? You'd have to have a whole list of all the people you're calling to give a message for.
So funny.
Yeah.
Totally different. It's
weird to say I'm dating myself, but I am dating myself. And it's very funny to be that way because I started off as the little intern. And now I'm like, you aren't the little intern anymore.
No, you certainly ain't.
But I don't know. I always kind of think, you go through, I don't know.
I'll say, I think of myself very differently. And like, I don't know, other people can see things in me that I can't always see. I'll say that.
Yes.
Sometimes I should say a lot of times, I don't give myself credit for a lot of things either. I don't know if that applies to you, but
yeah, I'm sure.
The pause is really important. I think for all of that, to pause, and for me right now, even on a crappy day, to give myself credit for doing one thing.
Definitely.
Like, the pause. I love that. I use that word a lot. I love that you said that.
Yeah.
I feel like so much of life, so much of what's beautiful, what matters is in the pause. And I'll speak for myself. I'm always rushing to get to the next, but it's in the pause where so much is. Right.
I know. There's one thing that I've been looking back at and being like, have I listened to, I'm sitting there saying, listen to the opportunity around you. But, sometimes because you're in the push, sometimes you miss certain things with people and I don't know. And part of it's life, but you also want to, you want to be gaining those nuggets from people and experiences sometimes, so.
There's somebody, I remember I listened to a speaker once and she was just saying that, she knew one of the most wealthy men, like in the world or whatever, in America. And, she asked him like what he attributed his success to. And he said, I listen. And it hit me. I listen.
Right. That's important.
So important. I say that to my actors too. Listen before you, before listen, right. You'll get a chance, but.
Right. I think with, you're right. And I think with social media and being able to text, and I'm guilty of this myself. So I'm not, but, we don't always read everything that we're necessarily given either, all the details, right? I mean, that comes through. I won't read the entire breakdown because I'm just like, oh, this is what they want. And I didn't like necessarily say like, oh, maybe they needed to have with the casting, they needed to have like, a husband that would join them in the, whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
whatever the detail is. Yeah, of course.
Correct. And I've definitely been guilty of that. So it's an interesting thing that we're all feeling that push. And now that we don't have that, now we're like, are we doing what we're supposed to be doing?
Am I going to be left behind? Am I not going to be relevant?
Right.
Just all these things,
right,
which are valid right now because for me, I don't know what my place is right now. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right. Well, I think we're all experiencing that, and it's it's so funny because I was like, oh, I haven't had this type of time on my hands since I started working, like it was 27 years ago, where I'm like, wow, and then it's funny because at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, why don't you go and donate your time? And a lot of these places you can't donate your time because there's a pandemic going on. So it's
exactly.
it's been tricky, you know, to navigate that, what our place is.
100%. That's something I've had a very hard time with, is wanting to help. That's a big thing for me always, that I can be in my head and but as soon as I'm with other people, listening to other people, and when it's about them and not about what's going on in my head, I'm immediately better because I really care, and I love
true
people.
For all of us.
Yeah, I think
that's a true statement for all of us.
Yeah, so I think it's very difficult, like you said, like wanting to help, and for me, feeling like helpless, like I can't. For me, I can't even talk much about it, but like animals, there was a big part of like I wanted to figure out, and I started to try and figure out how maybe I might be able to help animals that right now, and then hearing about some things that animals are struggling with, I'm like I can't, because it's very painful, and like I don't know if you're like this. I was saying it to somebody yesterday. With everything going on right now, there are people out there and they're protesting, and part of me, I care about, I went to go, there was like a little bug in my bathroom before, and I went to try and get it to bring it outside. Like I'm too sensitive for my own good. But I can't fully take in everything that's happening in the world right now.
Right. Well, I don't think anybody can. I think we take in what we can for the day, and then we have to, or else you're just going to put out bad, negativity.
Yeah.
I think we can, but it's important, to be acknowledging what's going on right now and show support, but it doesn't mean that, how can we possibly, all we can do is come together and support, our brothers and sisters of color during this time. And that could mean maybe one day you're protesting, maybe one day you're signing up a petition, and maybe you're donating to the different causes. And then also reaching out to one another and listening to other people's stories that they have endured, because it's important that we do that. So this is a time of change. Regardless, this is a serious period of change in health, change in our culture, change in our, our systemic, our racial system we need to make change in that. We need to be able to hear other people's voices and stuff like that. And we've all experienced it, everybody, as far as whether we've heard other people talk inappropriately, right? Been involved in conversation. I mean, I know in my family, there's been incidences with my family members that I've had throughout my life. So it's, and growing up, it's funny, my husband and I were out walking this morning, and we were talking about how the draw to move to the city was so prominent on me as a teenager. Because I wanted to be engrossed in cultural differences. I wanted that. I don't want to, I didn't want to. And now that I think, and this is my own little opinion in my own little world here.
That's all we have is
whatever
our
I'm
opinion.
Exposed to, right,
exactly.
I'm exposed to. I think that because the internet has come and it's allowed us to expand on who we can be connected with, right? You can be connected with friends and people all over the world now. And so maybe having to move to a metropolitan area isn't as necessary to experience that. But it's definitely something we all are dealing with, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. I mean, it's heartbreaking beyond shadow of a doubt. And it's been heartbreaking. And that's, what we can do. Just having a conversation and acknowledging it. And hearing that is important.
And and again, just like the wanting to help and not exactly knowing, I'll speak for myself, not exactly knowing how. And there are protests. It's also a dangerous time right now. And especially seeing pictures, so many people are at protests not wearing masks, or standing very close with one another, and they're just around their neck and not on their faces. And it's a lot to take in, this timing. Like,
well, remember, so there are a lot of the other parts of the country. We're still in the epicenter.
Yeah.
That is moving. That is moving.
Yeah.
The numbers are seriously down for COVID patients. My husband actually is a vascular ultrasound tech that travels to specifically nursing homes, and not just one nursing home for his job. He travels through multiple nursing homes throughout New Jersey and New York. And
That's
so
amazing.
he loves what he does. But he's definitely been able to say, the numbers are way down. Like last night, he only had one patient that had COVID. Not that there's not patients out there, and it's not time to take the thing off, but just know, like, other parts of the country, like where my daughter lives out in Arkansas, they're like, is there really a pandemic?
I know.
Because again, we live on top of each other. It's where, and we're in a more, so you sneeze, someone else can walk right into it.
Oh yeah. We live it was just insane. It's Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing about your husband's experience, and because it's good to know that.
Yeah, well, his brother's a doctor too, and it's funny because my brother-in-law was actually on the news because he ended up helped save a friend. So my brother-in-law had a heart attack like 7 years ago, and then and he had to do rehab, and this guy helped him restore himself back, and then this guy ended up getting the COVID and was hospitalized, and my brother-in-law stayed with him, and and they wrote a whole story on it on the news. But anyway, even their numbers are down, and for this. But he did say, to my husband, he's just like, make sure that you're covered with your gloves and your face masks while you're dealing with the COVID patients and stuff like that, and wash your hands. And he's like, and you're going to be okay. And we had to go through assessing. I've had to assess, do I have it today? Especially with allergies, you're feeling
oh my God.
You're like, oh my gosh. And then,
I know.
Being vigilant about taking care of yourself, keeping your immune system up.
Yep. I feel like that's all we can do. Just be as careful and as clean and sanitary as possible.
Yeah.
I make sure I take my vitamins every day. I try. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So you sound good, Ramona.
Well, like I said, it's a good day. Ups and downs.
Yeah.
I ended up doing like a prayer vigilant last night, which was cathartic for me. Just to, come along with other people and in our cars and praying for our country and for people. And that's hopeful. I like to look for things. I'm mindful about what I allow myself to hear and to watch. I don't allow myself too much of the news because I think that, that they're definitely like there to freak us out, and they are doing their job. And it's, And so I try to watch, be mindful about I'll go to the Worldometer. That's been helpful to me, the Worldometer, which allowed me to see, what the statistics are.
What's the Worldometer?
It's a website that tells you how many corona cases there are, where they are, how many, and you can actually see the numbers going down. Worldometer.com. Yeah.
Okay.
I followed that. So I've been, and then just very little doses of the news. If it's not positivity, I'm not going to end my day on that. And I've been working out too, making sure I wake up, even when I don't want to necessarily work out, at least feel like one thing that you can do a day to make yourself feel good about yourself. Right. Cause it's weird. It's weird for me not to have a schedule too. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
But I'm praying, I'm hoping that with this, the city starting to open up, that come July, that end of June, July, things should be starting to, we're a very reactionary. Our business is all reactionary to what's going around us.
Exactly.
And so we need to be ready for that. I'm praying that's going to happen. I've had some different ad agencies reach out to me, ask me when they thought it was going to end. I'm like, oh, but they told me that they have ads. Let me look at my crystal ball.
I know, seriously.
No, but like I said, that's why it's important to make sure I have good resources that I'm listening to, and also be able to balance the two, but not take too much in. But they've said, we're sitting on ads that need to take place here. Yeah. So I do anticipate, I'm hoping that we're going to be busy. I do.
So look, if you look into your crystal ball, how do you think?
I mean, to the part where I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, we're overwhelmed. Like with us, it's never like it's always like and that's when I'm like, oh, I think it's going to happen.
Well, I know, because I swear, like I asked my brother to look at his crystal ball, and I'm always like, Dave, when do you think is the earliest? I've been saying this the whole time, that things might start to go back to, and so from the beginning, he was like August, maybe September. And so now things are starting to, change a little bit. And I said, Dave, you told me like August, September, but it's things are starting to happen. Like, I'm not prepared, as if like it's his fault. Right. But like, I didn't prepare for this. Like, I need to emotionally prepare. Like, it's such a strange thing, like, because for us, it's like, it's feast or famine. It's all or nothing. The business is either crazy and I'm, working like nuts, or things really are trickling in,
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah,
definitely.
But I think that's good to hear, that people are ready and they want things to be out there being cast and being made. It's just a matter of when can this stuff happen.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. And, I've got my actors that are ready too. They've checked in with me and let me know that they're ready to go. So that's been good too.
That's great. I know. I think a lot of people are ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, aren't you? Like, I'm ready to go. I got to wear, wear a face thing. Like I said, for me, I feel like I've been told, like, keep yourself clean and wear your face thing, and you should be good to go.
And I think there's only so much that we can control. So like, sometimes I've gotten scared, like, oh, I touched that. And then but I'm like, all right, I'm human. I do as much as I
remember,
possibly
our body fights stuff off every day.
I know.
Before we were aware of this virus.
Yep.
So so it's important that, it's our bodies are amazing, and how that they can heal themselves.
It really is amazing. We will get there. It's funny. Yeah. I had this acting thing over the phone earlier, and they really just wanted an honest answer of like, they have a hope chest, and they want, first thing you think of, like, what do you hope? What's a hope you have? We'll be opening this up next year. And I said, honestly, I just hope that once this all passes, that we all are just better from it, that we don't just go back to exactly as it was. Cause I always say, like, I have a built-in forgetter. I can just forget, but like, I want us all, with everything that's been going on, to be better and to be different and to value things and each other more. And just differently, that we're all in this together. I don't, so much of life, I feel like people, it's about them, and it still can be, especially now. People are, angry that they're still locked up in their houses and stuff. And because it's still about them, which I understand, we're all having a hard time, but it's such a there's the us, there's the whole. And I really want people to be able to move forward with that. I was thinking, I started that by thinking about the germs and how we're exposed to this all the time. And I was thinking about how that might look moving forward if people are going to be like way more germ freaks. But then I went to the whole other thought.
Well, I think that, and I there's certain, I always go off on this, but I think that the Port Authority bus station could do a heck of a lot better job by making it a lot cleaner at times. That's like there's other systems. Yes. When you go to, and subway systems throughout our country that are so much cleaner, like we literally have to deal with, there's a rodent problem, literally, you have to, like, deal with it. And why do and deal with that type of stuff. I think everybody's willing to admit that, and was like, oh, it's going to cost money. Well, it's just our system. So anyway, I hope that people are cleaner, certainly come up with new ways. You've got your little alcohol sprays, that's as important too.
Seriously. It's really funny because the rodents are the least of my work. Like even when there's rats, I'm like the only person in the world. I love rats. I like stand on the train platform and I just watch them. I think they're fascinating and amazing, even though they are not considered that. Like,
no, well, they carry disease.
Yes.
And that's the problem when you see that.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Like, I know, but they're so adorable. I wish they didn't carry disease.
God bless you. Because let me tell you, when I'm seeing a rat, I'm running.
I know. I like follow them, and like my boyfriend will be like, "Don't like, like back up." Like, it's really funny.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, it's like is the germs. I could put my hands in a pile of dirt. I love going camping. I love getting really dirty, playing sports, but germs, like the train. If I touch the train pole, I'm like angry.
That
I'm
is
such a weirdo.
I mean, you know, we live where we live,
right?
And we're going to continue to be exposed to people, and it's not a bad thing. It's just there's a pandemic that came, you know, a virus that came around.
Yeah.
So
it's a bizarre time.
Yeah.
So I have this portion of my show that's called "The Feather in Your Cap." And so by feather in your cap, I mean an accomplishment or a success, something that you may have learned that could serve you in the future or that has served you. And I wonder if you have a feather in your cap that you'd be willing to share with those listening.
Oh, wow. I'm like, oh, wow. I got to take that out. Now I got to think about that.
It's something really special to me, the feather in your cap. There was somebody that was a huge part of my life for many years. And whenever I would go through something and I would be in the bad of it and feeling the pain of it, he would always say, you know what? That's a feather in your cap. And it would show me that will be useful in the future. It hurts right now, but this is...
Yeah.
And I usually do.
I think it's a matter of keeping our perspective, you know, necessarily one thing. I just think that I know there's been a lot of pain through all of this, but I know as we are resourceful human beings, we're from an artist community, right? Though I may not be an active artist, but you know, an artist community. I'm intrigued, hopeful to see what will come out of this, what creativity will come from the loss and stuff like that, the stories, the masterpieces that will come from here. There's always somewhere in the world, someone always kind of has it not as good as you, right? And I think it's just important that we are in this together. Yeah. And think of people as people and not, you know, like we need to realize that, you know, we're human, like, you know what I mean? And even though we may be different from one another, we can still learn from one another. And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of living in New York City, the greatest city in the world, is all the culture, all the differences that brought us each and every, and keep us here at this time, right?
Yeah.
And not to lose hope on ourselves, you know? I guess I don't know if that's a feather in the cap, but that's how I feel.
I got so much hope from that. And thank you. That's really hopeful and very true. Like we live in the best city. And I think about all of my friends of so many different nationalities and cultures, and they've made my experience living so much better.
Yeah. I have a great life. I love the people that I know. I love what I do, from all the stories that people come in here, their successes, their failures, and to see what they do, the choices. It's amazing. That's yeah.
That's, I know. I'm so happy that we could connect. It's so lovely to see you.
It's wonderful. And I love you. And thank you for inviting me to do this. But most of all, thank you for doing this show. And I saw it, I was like, oh, Oh, you know, I was having a down day, and when I saw you and David, I was just like, oh, this lifted my heart.
You made me cry when you said that. Like, I really, thank you for that. And I'm so grateful that you felt connected to it and us. And like, I feel connected to you, and this makes me so much better. So really, thank you. I really appreciate you and you being here.
Same back at you, Samantha. Thank you.
Thank you. So if people want to keep up with you, I will post it with the episode, but where should they look you up? Your web, your pages and all that stuff.
So if you want to submit your material, our website is ramonastalent.com, and there's a submit page, and you can submit there. I love you. You're so amazing.
I love you. I love you so much. I'm like all choked up. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's great. I love it.
Up the Klimt. Talk amongst yourselves.
And then we also have our Facebook, and we're also on Instagram at this time.
Wonderful. Yeah. And I'll post that with everything.
Okay. Well, thank you so much again.
Thank you so much again. I'm looking forward to seeing you again and getting out there, and both of us being busy. But right now, we'll stick with the pause.
All right. All right, my friend.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you. I love you. Okay. Bye. Bye. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Big Face today with me and our guest, Ramona Pitera. It's so awesome. It was so nice to have her here. They're posted with this episode. So if you're listening or watching, thank you so much. Thanks for supporting us. And yeah, like, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff to keep it going. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. See you next week.